his COVID booster and his flu shot today.
Yeah.
He's gonna be out. Yeah, we'll see him Sunday. He'll be out.
We'll see him Sunday.
Yeah.
Is there?
We need to send him some goddamn tea because he's gonna need it.
Oh man. All right. I'm gonna ask a silly question. Jose R, as well as also Miss Tammy, do you possibly have cameras? If not, that's perfect.
I do. Hold on.
That's
Just
okay.
dropped my.
And Jose, I cannot hear you.
I do, but it's not a. You can't hear me at all.
I can't hear you at all, Candy.
Let me switch to my desktop real quick. I'll be right back.
Gotcha. And then Jose R, I can't hear you.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Loving the ponytail, baby. You are getting filled up, boy. Who is loving on you like that? Oh my!
Big mama cooking for you. Little mama cooking.
My baby getting big, bro. One of the things I did not like about Jose, bro, I thought that he looked like a type of dude that would take my wife, and I was so mad at that dude. I fucking hated Jose, bro, because he looked at it. He had that fucking. He got that $1 billion smile when I first met him. I was like, man, fuck that. That guy needs to go. I need to make him my friend before.
I remember that.
Yeah, dog. I was so mad. And he was cool with my wife. That's what makes it worse, dog. I hated that.
Hey, do I sound good or anything? Like
you sound a little bit better. Yes. You sound.
I sound better.
Yeah, you sound significantly better. And everybody else here. Can everybody else? It's a little bit distorted.
Shit.
All right, so I'm gonna tell y'all a cheat code real fast. First off, I think I hear myself through somebody else's system.
That's probably me.
Okay, cool. And then if you go to your actual hit right click on my face or anybody else's, I'm sorry, or your face, or you can go down to where they got the sound settings, go to the voice settings, and what you're going to see is, let me go back to that normal page. It's going to pop up a voice setting menu. What you're going to do is turn off automatically determine input sensitivity. And then you're going to turn that thing down, maybe put it about -6 to 7 dB.
-6 to 7?
67.
Oh, 67.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's a little bit better, yes.
All right.
That's a little bit better. Jose, were you able to do that same thing?
Let's see. So I'm on my iPhone and it doesn't show me any decibels.
That's okay. That's okay. That's all right. You're not horrible, man. You're perfectly fine. You're good. All right. So let me go to my screen. Content. Boom. I gotta send that link to JT real fast before he gets out. All right. Get shareable link. Link copied. All right, JT, I'm about to send that link right in the middle of the chat. The Facebook Messenger. And you'll be good. Hopefully you heard that. All right, and then we still waiting on Tammy. Look at that. He pulled up his goddamn. Look at that. Look at that fucking wavy ass. All right. Okay. I hate this man. God damn.
I've been growing it.
Man.
I'm about to put it in braids too.
And is this your ugly day too? That's what's sad. This is your ugly day probably. This is probably your day that you're ugly. Fucking hate that guy. Just wish I was looked that amazing when I was in college. Candy, can you do me a favor, man? How is Angel doing?
He's doing good. He's just trying to live his life up in Texas right now. He's going partying a lot, so
Okay.
he's doing that young life thing.
Well, hopefully it goes well.
Yep.
Hopefully.
He'll be transferred to something.
I'm gonna pop out. I'm gonna hit the YouTube up.
Okay, yeah, that's what I just told you. That I in the link I just posted it, the YouTube.
Yep. All right, I'll catch y'all in the chat.
Awesome.
Thanks for meeting everybody.
Later, man.
Awesome. So we just got that. Is Tammy okay?
Yeah, she was jumping onto her desktop or something like that.
Yeah.
There she is.
Hey, Tammy.
Hey, I'm not sure if my camera works. Give me 1 second.
That's okay. If it doesn't work, then we'll just switch over to just audio. Would that be perfectly fine for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we got boom.
Nailed it.
We
Okay,
got
cool.
3 people. 3 people. We're fine with this. All 4 of us. We're killing this. So
Okay.
on my end, oh shit, that's okay. I can switch this.
Maybe.
You got this.
Dang. Sorry.
Don't let them discourage you. Which, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, for real. Show it who's boss.
Yes. Don't you.
Oh, Romeo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to run you over. Maybe you should move. Okay, this works. This works for me.
All right, that should be better. That should be good right there. Oh shit, that looks horrible. Move me over a little bit. Okay. Jose, you've been watching my stream for how long, bro? You've been letting me just chill with my little scarf in the back of the stream like this? Damn.
Well, your scarf? What scarf?
This little blue thing? This just been hanging. Just hanging.
Oh.
Let me just hang. All right.
See you, man.
It's okay, man. It's okay. That's all right. I'm not judging you. I'm just if anybody I judge is definitely the dude. Whoa, what the hell happened there?
Did you describe that to me? You gonna tell me yesterday?
What?
Well, here it is. All right, so everybody, I guess we're back. We're back now. We're good.
After some technical difficulties.
Yes, we're
We
good
have
now.
tried. No. Oh,
All
we've
right.
tried.
So cool. Hello, everybody. My name is History Williams. We're gonna start with the smack so I can know where we at. Right? Hey, we're right here. Boom. We're back here. My name is History Williams. Thanks a lot for joining the Historical Voices from the East Side. Now, usually we have 3 of us, which is usually myself, Jamel Watson, as well as Jonathan Thompson. But those 2 guys are going to take a hiatus for today. And I have 3 other people, amazing people here to talk about the movie Black Panther 2. The movie was so important and so dope, I guess, apparently to some people, that we have to do it at least twice. With that, let me turn on my camera on my end. I guess you don't see Jose on his end. Boom. There you go. Now we so the person that is actually right here to my left, I guess, is actually Jose Candido. Boom. Big shout out to this guy from Washington State. The person right below, Tammy. You didn't tell me your last name.
Garrett.
Huh? Tammy Garrett.
Garrett.
Man, Tammy Garrett. All right. Tammy Garrett sounds like somebody that will fight somebody. Is that true?
Wow. So Jose's been talking to you then.
Tammy Garrett sounds like a name that chooses violence. The person right over there.
If you only knew.
The bottom over there is you choose fucking violence.
Jose and I used to work together at a gas station, and you better ask about me.
Oh man. So I knew and I'm about to get into this other Jose. Because he's not less important. I'm just a hater of him sometimes. And I can't stand it. There's a reason why I talk to you in like little small short bursts sometimes. Because I'm intimidated. He's worse than Namor. And Namor looked amazing in that movie.
It does.
So right below we got Jose Rodriguez as well. Now, all of y'all have an interesting story. Well, the two Jose's at least have an interesting story on my end. I think I hear you on the echo, Candy.
You hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Echo. I hear echo.
Shit.
You just can't win today. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You probably have to do headphones on. Look at this. Look at this. He fucking moved his hair and he still looks amazing. God, I hurt this guy.
Hang.
Look, he moved his hair and he still looked like he was trying to be dope. All right. With that, Jose Rodriguez, the cool thing about him is the fact that I met him at GVSU. We both went to GVSU. I graduated my undergrad from multimedia journalism. And a focus in radio broadcast. And then this young fellow, what did you graduate in?
I graduated 2015 with a degree in interdisciplinary studies.
Yes.
So initially, I was art education.
Yes.
But life gets you off track sometimes, and you just gotta find your way.
Okay. And this guy here was at GVSU when I was doing my undergrad, as well as also I got my master's in communications from GVSU. With that, the fellow to my left, I guess on your screen, my right, I guess depends on how you want to look at it, or my dyslexia kicking in on me. That fella, Jose Candy, I met him at the actual AMC theater out there in Washington State when I was in the Army. Lots and lots of long conversations about movies and shows and stuff like that. So, and he was a good friend during that time. I used to go to the movies almost every Friday, right, Candy? It was like every Friday, right? I was always there. Let me unmute you real fast. About every Friday, correct? I don't even hear him no more.
I moved over to the push to talk, but I don't know if that's working properly or not.
Bro, you didn't have to put a hat on, dog. Why you put a hat on, man? I get it. I didn't hate it that much, dog. But
You were coming every Friday to my work and everything. We just chatted up.
That's okay, man. Remember, this is we can cut this in post. It's okay. We could do this in post. Now.
Do you know the push to talk works? Though, what do I push to make myself talk?
You have to put like a space bar or something like that. You have to put your own key, what you're gonna do.
Oh, got it. All right.
You sure?
Well, I mean, I'll figure it out. Y'all keep talking.
All right, I'm gonna put you on mute. Just wave your hand when you're ready, okay? All right. So Tammy is a new person. So for me, so I never met Tammy IRL, as the video game people may say. I never met Tammy in real life, but Candy was nice enough to give me a person to be able to talk about this actual movie as well. So with that, Tammy, tell us about yourself as well.
All right.
I am an artist and activist from Washington State.
Mhm.
I have a background working with advocacy groups here in Washington, such as We Are Legally Black, the Black Panthers of Washington State, and the Seattle chapter of Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
I don't have a formal education, and I'm slowly unlearning how to not be ashamed of that. But I do have a desire to pursue an education in communications. I do have an interest in nonviolent communication. I read about nonviolent communication, such as like Marshall Rosenberg's work, which has been absolutely phenomenal.
Okay.
But I also have an interest in epigenetic trauma and history. So I don't really know what I would go to school for if I had the opportunity to do so. Oh, sorry. Did you have a question?
Well, no, I was gonna say actually, that was like one of the things that's like kind of like what I've been interested in doing is social work, but also cultural. There's another way that you can kind of look at it. It's like cultural mediation as well. That'd probably be a good route to go into it as well.
Yes. Oh gosh, sorry. I don't like to talk about myself.
Girl, this is where you gas yourself up. You need to.
That's right. It's not a lack of confidence thing. It's just I'm so cool.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Dope.
So I do work with the homeless community, and what we tend to do is get them resources. And now that the winter is approaching, we are currently, spinning our heads trying to attain shelter for them. And that's really where my passion is, because I too have been living among the homeless community, and I found that activism is something that I definitely want to do. I was only 17 when I was homeless, and just being among people who wanted to do kind things for me just for the sake of being kind really awakened that passion in me. And so while I was raising my little sister and working 2 jobs, I was thinking, what can I do to provide for my community? And it turns out my city is just full of options to do that. Unfortunately, it is because we're experiencing a homeless epidemic and a housing crisis, among other things. But besides all that sad stuff, I do some other cool shit too.
Okay.
Gosh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Talk your shit, young lady. Don't you let
Okay,
yourself be feeling like that. Talk your shit.
Okay, thank you. I'm very passionate about movies, especially Black media.
Yeah.
I have written several essays. One of them I'm working on right now is about Jordan Peele's Nope, and how the racial gap is harming the way that we criticize movies. But also how Nope is actually about the ramifications of filming police brutality. And that's also something that I'm very passionate about.
Okay. So, oh shit. Well, there you go. Why is that doing that?
As soon as I realized what was happening, because the way that they avoid looking at Jean Jacket is a survival tactic that you see in a lot of other Black media, such as the movie Black and Blue. And there are also documentaries that talk about it.
Okay.
Like the Vice Stop and Frisk documentary, talking about how it's a communal memory to avoid contact with the police, whether it's physical or even just eye contact, and how that can sometimes be the difference between life and death.
Okay.
And that's where I like to spend my time.
That's okay. So do you feel like going into, I guess that's an aspect of it. Do you feel like we have had a lot of films that actually have to kind of subjugate themselves to talking about social issues such as like police violence, as well as also criticism, harsher criticism for like films, as well as also, I mean, other issues that probably seem like they're kind of subjugated to discrimination in some form. Do you feel like more of those films are coming out, or do you feel like that's something that's kind of not necessarily a tapped resource, I guess you would say?
I feel that there is a largely untapped market for films for the Black and Latinx community that give them the space to talk about these issues and about their lived experiences. I think that oftentimes the suffering aspect of that gets fetishized, and we find ourselves in realms of discussion where people see this happening and they have what I call the Jeffrey Dahmer reaction to it. There is a show that came out called Them that is often highly fetishized, and it is just Black trauma, like back to back to back. And whereas my sister and I had to skip an entire episode because of the heavy trauma, other people say, "Oh, that's nothing," but then I'm like, so I think that now that we have movies that explore this, we can really focus on the racial literacy that it takes to navigate these movies. Because when we read like the criticism, when we read the reviews, it's coming from white people who are experiencing what is called the racial gap, where they don't see the disparity or the underlying message because that's not a lived experience that they have.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That completely makes sense. So now I am gonna actually turn this over to Jose Rodriguez, actually, because he actually has been doing some advocacy as well. With that, I've known him. This is one of the real fascinating things, and this is why I've always thought that like Jose was a dope person to actually like stay friends with, but also on top of that, stay like just to be around. It's because the fact that he's always kind of like radiated this like super positivity and like the super happiness aspect of it, but he's always been kind of a fierce force for like protesting. I remember him being at the Not My President rally where they march all up and down in Grand Rapids. I remember the Sanctuary campus. He was there for that when they were the argument was about banning other like countries from coming to the U.S. And most of them were Middle Eastern and Muslim countries. And he was over there at that rally. Like he's been at a couple of them, man. The Martin Luther King march that they used to have. He's been at a couple of things over there. So my question is going to be a little bit different for you. Is that like, how do you feel most of the media should be used as a tool for advocacy? With the recent situation with Kyrie Irving doing Hebrews to Negroes, that was supposed to be his way of being able to actually do his research. And in theory, the documentary is supposed to be advocating for Black Jewishness or whatever like that, right? But it still is anti-Semitic, but it's still advocating for something. So how do you feel media should be used now as a resource and a tool for advocacy on your end? You're muted, sir.
I haven't experienced that in a while. Doing Zoom every day for work. Y'all can hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I love
all
your
right,
back.
yeah. Oh, it's all the squishmallows over here, you know.
Yes.
Got
That's a green flag if I ever saw one.
50 of them. But so yeah, no, that Kyrie Irving situation, I've been hearing it from all different from all different
bro.
perspective.
Uh-huh.
To put the iPhone back up. Yeah, so I've heard it from all different perspectives. I don't know what that film is. The one that he like retweeted about. The one that was supposedly on Amazon, right?
Yes.
But the larger issue that I see with that is we have an issue with calling out individuals, but we really need to be calling out companies. We need to be calling out corporations with these types of things because, Kyrie Irving can share that and we can go after him all day, but no one's asked why does Amazon have that available in the first place if it's something that's so, so vile and so anti-Semitic? How come they are profiting off of this film? But, to a point made earlier, we see all these films, media of like Black trauma, talk about like trauma porn and like how that's like this continuous like subgenre that people will still flock to the movies to see. I know what was Till came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Emmett Till, we know the story. You didn't have to make a whole film about it. And at the end of the day, the people who are going to profit from that are these like white executives that own these, production companies. So really, what are we doing when we're retelling the story or repackaging it and, disseminating it in the theaters? Are we doing it for the sake of learning, or are we doing it for the sake of profit? And actually, so one thing I'm really excited about is I was recently elected to the GRPS school board.
Yes.
And that's a place, yeah, I'm so excited because that's a place where I can really make change about, what do we teach in history class? What does the curriculum look like? Because, we wouldn't need to have these films. We wouldn't need to have all this, traumatic retelling if we really like dissected it in the class, talked about it throughout like history, side by side of what we have currently, which is like, a whitewashing. So all in all, that's to say that we really need to start teaching real history to our children because people will take that lack of knowledge that we have, insert whatever they think will make them profit, will further divide. Because I know that Kyrie Irving has done some amazing things for the Black community, but I think that people will take any chance they get to divide us further than we already are, because it shouldn't be black, white, Republican versus Democrat. Honestly, like it's the working class versus the capitalists, right? It's the working class versus people who have all the profit at the top. But you find these things in the media over and over and over that divide us, and they're winning the game right now because it's working. We're stuck on one little thing when we should be looking at the bigger picture.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents on it.
You good, man.
I got a lot of.
Yo, JT just wrote that spam stuffy is. He's saying it's top tier, it's top notch. So,
Yeah.
now, Candy, I got a question for you, and you are still on mute, sir. So I'm gonna unmute you right now. So Candy,
What's up? I figured out the push to talk button thing, so we're good on that too.
gotcha. So my question is gonna go into a statement that Rodriguez just made. So when we talk about who's profiting off of these films and the importance of actually retelling these films. So I'm going to talk about a different one. So for example, one has been talked about the most recently was Dahmer. And so it's a retelling of Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, granted, if you learn or if you watch a lot of the stuff that happens with Jeffrey Dahmer, in biography wise, definitely you could see where some parts of them kind of missing. But for the large part, the Dahmer documentary did cover, for the most part, what happened, right? The one miss that people say was the glasses that became like an iconic Halloween costume request item. He didn't wear those in court, and the reason being is because of the fact that he didn't want to look the people in the eyes, and he had poor vision, so he didn't want to see the people's faces and then look them in the eyes. He was just, apparently ashamed, and that's what he stated in the interview. So that's why he didn't wear his glasses in court. But in the documentary, they showed that he was wearing the glasses, so it felt like it was a missed point. But you work for now an independent theater system, a local theater, versus like working for like the bigger guys like Celebration, AMC, and Grand, and so on. So with that, the same question: do you feel like it is important to retell stories like, for example, Dahmer or Emmett Till? Harriet was a Focus Film one, and that one was under a lot of like scrutiny as well. Do you feel like those kind of films are important, and do you give us probably a small breakdown of what you know, who profits off of those type of films?
So I don't think retelling stories like that, like Jose brought up the whole, like, depending on what we teach in school, you know, we shouldn't be needing to regurgitate these stories, right? They should be taught in the schools. But we should be using the movies and stuff to tell stories that haven't been told yet, you know? Make stories about, you know, that city in New York City where, Tanny, what's where they put the park? It used to be like Slane Old Town, and then they came in and just wiped it out. And
Jeez,
Pick one.
Are you talking about
Rosewood.
Yeah. Like, we should be telling stories like that have been held off and not talked about much, because a lot of those stories end up not being spoken about when they're big things, you know? And profit-wise, the companies that are the studios that are getting the most profit, because as an independent theater, we don't get much from the ticket sales or anything like that. And then movies like that will pick up, like Till, for example. We picked up and we showed it thinking, you know, that they might get some movement, and it ended up not doing well at all. It's because people are tired of those kinds of movies. You know, it's already something we know. We know that story really well because it was a big part of history, and you know, nobody wants to come see an adaptation of that in real life because that's a horrible thing that happened. And why am I going to go pay money to go sit down and watch this thing occur? You know, and it's something that shouldn't be pushed forward. Like Dahmer, for example, that one was on Netflix. You're not paying for it really, and so it got more popularity because, you know, everybody wanted to go see the sexualized version of Jeffrey Dahmer, so they could have some sort of entertainment. But there's a lot of stories that we should be telling that aren't being told. You know, like, for example, not everybody knows that Mexico was part of part of the United States before the Europeans came over and took the land away, right?
Mhm.
Everybody thinks Mexico is just centralized in Central America, but it was like, it was part of California, it was part of freaking Texas. Mexico spanned into this country, and people don't consider that because they don't teach it.
Yeah.
Just like the genocide of like the Native Americans and everything, you know, it's stuff that you have to go dig for and look for past what they're teaching us in school, right? Because when I grew up in school, the most I got was, you know, Washington history that barely covered anything that really happened with the Native Americans here in Washington. And then in the history books, if you want to learn anything past the Roman or Greek stuff, you have to go personally look for it. And as a kid, you're not going to go do that unless you're really into history. So there should be stuff that is pushed and shown to us that hasn't been, you know, taught to us yet. Because a lot of the stuff that I've learned I learned as an adult. I didn't learn this as a kid. To me, all the information that I got, like Columbus, growing up, that was all shit that the schools just spewed at us, and I was like, oh, this is right because the school taught me. And then you come to find out as an adult, oh, this motherfucker was a rapist. This guy was a fucking monster. He was a freaking piece of shit.
Yeah.
And it's like my whole childhood I would celebrate him, not knowing the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this country just likes to dumb people down and fucking feed us this America's this great place. When in reality, I was like, there's a lot of opportunities here. Don't get me wrong, but we've done some shit to get here. When it comes to slavery, the genocide, all that shit. That's all part of our history. It's not nice. It's not something that we like to talk about, but it's something we need to talk about in order to get through the traumas of each of these cultures,
Mm-hmm.
It's like we can't just push it under the rug like a lot of the Republicans are trying to do with that whole critical race theory. There's not understanding that it's not about matter of freaking, trying to wipe out like the white race or anything like that. It's a matter of like teaching the actual history as it was, not as they want us to know it.
Mm-hmm.
And none of these stories are really bringing out anything new that we don't know. And these movie companies that are pushing these films out are only doing it because they're trying to get the quickest buck as they can, because they all run out of ideas. They don't know what to write about. They don't know what they're doing. It's either remake something that's already been made, or retell a story that hasn't been shown in a live action setting, right?
Yeah.
So they're not looking into deeper details of different things that have happened, and that would be probably the best way to go about showing anything in a movie format, is something that hasn't been told yet. Tammy, I believe in your podcast you were talking about Keegan and Peele having that new movie where they're gonna talk about like the that lakes or something like that, where it's the kids it's like a horror movie or something like that.
I don't actually know who's going to be directing that, but I do know that there's a movie coming out about Lake Lanier, and I feel that that is an important aspect of our history that we need to explore, because anything that of our history that wasn't burned to the ground was left under a lake, a man-made lake.
Yes.
Anytime you hear man-made lake in America, that should be your red flag. You need to start asking questions.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the most recent one, and I want to say, what's her name? The comedian. She has her own late night show, and I feel so bad. I usually know her name.
Chelsea Handler
no.
or Amber?
Amber Ruffin. Yes. She just did a whole segment talking about man-made lakes and how black towns are put underwater. Yeah. And so a lot of them were in Alabama. And then now what we look at as Central Park in New York was 2 black towns apparently. And they put up underwater completely. And all because of the fact of what they would say. They say is to protect, I guess you would say, nature. They wanted to preserve nature. So they built this park in the middle of New York City. And so there's a lot of man-made lakes that are actually filled with old black towns and old black schools and stuff like that. But
see now, going on that's something I would want to see, right? Like a documentary format of that, right? Showing all that stuff, because that's something I didn't know until a couple of years ago, and that's the kind of shit that we should be bringing to the forefront, right? If the schools ain't wanting to teach it, might as well teach it in a format that's going to get eyes on it, right? Which is through documentary or some sort of movie that's going to tell that story.
Or at the very least, teach people how to do their research independently. There is a pipeline that you can easily fall down if you are interested in history and you want to learn more about history. You need to know how to look for accredited sources and how to verify if those resources are legit. And they don't teach you how to do that in school. They teach you how to write in an MLM format, and they're going to do this and this in college. and then you're on your own. And I think that's how we ended up all being surprised to find out that Columbus was brought back to Spain in chains over what he did. And the king and queen, who, by the way, started the Spanish Inquisition, we're just like, why is a man whose profession is trading human beings into slavery weeping and calling you the devil in his diary? And we're all just sitting here absolutely flabbergasted by this information, but at the same time, the rest of us are like, oh, good for them.
So, speaking of people who were part of the slave trade, Elon Musk. Oh, I'm so sorry. Apologize. I I hit that too hard. I hit that fucking too hard. I'm so sorry. So, I usually we take about an hour of doing this. This is what JT and Jamel and I we usually do a segment called "I Say What I Said." It's a unfiltered segment. I'm going to ask you a question. Obviously, I just kind of spoiled a little bit of my question, but I asked you a question. This is your one unfiltered ability to actually say what you need to say without any judgment, at least amongst the group of us. And you only get 2 minutes on the clock to say what you say. And if it provides a conversation, then cool, we'll go with the conversation. If it doesn't, then we move on to the next topic. And obviously, if it becomes a dead topic, then we're going to hear that little bell sound. When your 2 minutes is up, you're still going to hear that bell sound as well. With that, I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock for I Said What I Said. Oh, and I'm just now updating my system, so it can't have it the old school way where we had it on the screen. But I'm going to start off with Jose Rodriguez with this one. Speaking of slave labor,
Wow.
I'm going to keep on saying it like that. Elon Musk has given his workers the ultimatum of if they're going to work a crucial, crazy amount of hours, and I'm kind of paraphrasing what he is stating, or they can actually get fired essentially and get actually a separation pay with it. And a lot of people are choosing to take this separation pay, which is about 3 months worth of separation pay over it. Now, because of the fact of how many people are deciding to actually leave Twitter, it looks like the rumor is that the network will get shut down. Do you think that this will be a possibility with this network? And the second part of that question will be, is this network even really important in, I guess, our social society anyway? So 2 minutes on the clock for you, sir. Do you need to repeat the question?
I got it.
He's warming up the engines, everybody. It's happening. So we got you right there. 2 minutes on the clock. Let's go. Starting with Mr. Jose.
All right. So first of all, unfiltered, Elon Musk, fucking idiot. Like, billionaires, when you have that much money, like, means nothing of your intelligence. It speaks nothing to your intelligence. It's unfortunate that Twitter is doing as bad as it is because it is a crucial tool for activists, for people doing boots on the ground type work, doing any sort of protest. I've used it a lot. So a lot of my friends in the organizing spaces have used it a lot, and we always hear Black Twitter because people talk about Black Twitter as if it's its own social network. And so it really is a shame that Elon Musk just decided that, he's going to spend a cool $40 billion on it and run it to the ground. I stand in solidarity with those workers that are like, I'll take 3 months severance pay and get out of there and find another job, because if they're working at Twitter, that they've got the skills to find any other job quick. I actually on TikTok watching a lot of the workers that are, hey, we're all talking right now. We're all talking together. We're about to get out of here because it's a steaming pile of shit right now. And, Elon Musk he thinks he is smarter than he is. He's the Donald Trump of poor investments. Donald Trump is the Donald Trump of poor investments, but he just happened to be president one time. Don't vote for him in 2024. But that's my take on it. It's unfortunate for a lot of people in organizing spaces, but at the same time,
so
it is what it is.
No, man, you're not wrong. I don't think that you're wrong at all. I will say this: it's been kind of a heck of a ride. Watching when Elon Musk was going to be the person who was going to buy it, and it was really going to be a thing, and then he was going to make this a free, basically, market media website. But now it seems like he didn't want it. He got it, and he was like, "Nah, I don't want this responsibility." Kind of like Donald Trump when he got elected president. He was like, that I fucking
exactly
that I really want to win.
It sounds good on paper, but once you get it,
they just like they're big kids, man. They want that toy that somebody else is playing with, and as soon as they get it, they stop playing with it.
Oh man, yeah, that definitely is a thing.
That's exactly it.
So he wanted Twitter, and then on top of that, when he got it, he was like, "Nah, I don't got the money." If that's not the most like. I'm sorry to say, but you could definitely tell that he was a little bit of African in him, because this is not even a hard black joke on this one, bro. No, man, I got it on I'll have it on Tuesday. Like he definitely.
I didn't pay till Wednesday, man. Just hold it off until I get paid.
Yeah, just let me hold it until I got you, bro. I got you later. God damn it! I tell man, hey,
it's both of ours.
Yeah, hey,
that direct deposit hadn't hit yet.
Yeah, that direct, bro. My bank said I overdraft. Give me another week, bro. He did do that, and then he tried to be like, loan me $20 from other billionaires. What the fuck? Yeah, so I think it's just so funny that we got this. You got to pay $8 to be verified, and now it's becoming a trolling thing. And so I ain't gonna lie to you. The one person I'm hoping that do take advantage of this is actually in this chat, and it's that person right over there, which is Candy, because Candy has 2 goddamn Twitters, and I want him to have a verified Candy account, and I want him to have a non-verified one.
I'll fund that.
Actually, thanks for bringing that up. I forgot I had the second one. I had to delete that shit too. I deleted my Twitter 2 days after that motherfucker took over, man. I'm like,
bruh, he has 2 accounts. He needs to get verified. One of these accounts, and then basically talk in one of these accounts. This is the verified one, and then as the unchecked marked one, he should be straight up saying like how that's a bot. That's not a real fucking Candy. It's not me. It's a fake account.
It's a fake. It's a fake.
He's
it
been
has
hacked.
The energy of that Dave Chappelle story where he accidentally got into beef with a fake Pat Williams account.
Oh my god! Damn. It's a thing, man.
I'm just arguing with myself.
Yeah, bro, you should be really beefing with yourself, man. And you know what, bro? Go on some nuclear type heat with yourself, bro. You gotta go deep or the cut so fucking hard. All these fucking accounts. Go even salty like Wendy's, talking shit about every other company on Twitter.
Accounts, man. They just start talking shit about everybody.
Yeah. Bruh, I'm talking about like making fat people jokes and making fucking Mexican jokes about yourself, and then be like, "Well, my mama tacos taste better than your mama tacos." Like, what kind of tacos
Why
you
you
talking
eating
about?
your mama's tacos?
Why you eating your mama's tacos? Yeah. So But next question. I'm so sorry. I don't want us to go
No,
off
no,
time.
no,
This
you're
is so fucking fun. Tammy. So, with that, here's my underlying. Here's my deep dive on something real fast. There was a video that came out recently with Shaquilla Mason. She disappeared for a little bit, mom's concerned, and come to find out, she actually passed away while she was on the trip. I want to say it was in Mexico, correct? Anybody else?
Oh.
It showed that she had broken her neck and some other stuff like that. But I think they said the original diagnosis, like cause of death, was said that she drowned. I want to make sure. I'll make sure a little later, and I'll
Yeah,
update it in the show notes.
he said that supposedly she drowned,
Yeah,
but she had like
I haven't heard the story yet.
and all that.
Yeah. From what I remember, it was like she drowned, but then when they actually did more deep dive of it, she had a broken neck and she had some other like real bad damages. There was a video that came out, and I'm intentionally skipping Rodriguez on this one because of the fact that he may know the story. But when they got a video of this girl getting beaten really, really badly by her friends. She went to this vacation with 5 friends. Now, there's a similar story that actually happened at our alma mater, me and Jose Rodriguez, which is GVSU. About 2 years back, there was a girl who actually was found dead in the actual walk pathway. And the last time she was seen, her friends had dropped her off at this path walkway towards the dorms, but it goes in the middle of the woods. Now, if you see this walkway where she passed away at, it's about a 2-mile walk from Fillmore Street all the way to this part of where the actual dorm is at. And apparently she was drinking. This was a straight A student. This girl was an advocate as well. She came from Detroit. And she was hanging out with these students. It was a first semester of college, and she passed away. And this starting to seem like a constant trend with a lot of like Black and brown women, especially like about 3 years ago, where they had in Fort Hood, where they had another Latinx girl who actually went missing, and it was a hidden thing. My question to you is this: do you feel like there has been a neglect on the part of investigating cases like this and also holding people responsible? Because in all 3 cases, it seems like, from what I remember, there's nobody's being held accountable for these cases at all when it comes to these females. So that's my question for you, young lady.
So let me start off with May Pamela at Horsford from Georgia, and every Black woman like her if someday receive their justice. Rest in peace to Sandra Bland, who also died under mysterious circumstances. And I mentioned Sandra Bland specifically because in her instance, the family had the FBI investigate that police department where she had died. And all that they found was that the arresting officer had altered his dash cam to cover his ass. And they ended up taking a settlement because they are afraid of those cops. And I feel that oftentimes when these Black women turn up missing or unalived, whether it was by the police or it was by the wives of those police, they often find the families in a situation where their livelihoods are threatened or their personal safety is threatened. And so I, for one, highly advocate for restorative justice over punitive justice. And I think that it is an important issue to address, especially not just with cisgendered Black women, but also with transgendered Black women. When we remember that North America and South America are responsible for 79% of the deaths of Black trans women and trans women in general in the entire world. Like, they die here more than anywhere else. And those are often minimized, and they reduce it to, oh, they were a sex worker. Oh, they, had X many kids and husbands and da da da. And they try to work around making them less than worthy or deserving of that care and attention. And I think that it has become such a deeply rooted systemic issue that the only way that we can begin to make this right is to take actions towards reforming the police and our criminal justice system in general.
Gotcha. No, I didn't want to make it sound like I
No, you're fine.
All
right, that was heat. Now shut up.
No, I didn't mean to say it, but keep it going. I'm so sorry. Finish what you were saying.
Well, yeah, we need to reform the police, and we need to create a better criteria of which, for one thing, remove qualified immunity.
Mhm.
Second of all, police officers need to be in a database so that they are blacklisted, and we need full transparency. As soon as the body cam footage is available, the entirety of the public should have access to it.
Yes.
And police also, the blue wall of silence needs to be addressed. It's such an open secret that, we make movies about it like Black and Blue. And the longer that these things continue to go unaddressed, the more Black bodies are going to turn up missing. Indigenous bodies are going to turn up missing.
Yes.
And it's been an ongoing issue since the birth of policing. I don't know if you know about vagrancy laws, but that also has a lot to do with it.
Well, I don't know too much about that. I will say that was like when I was doing undergrad, I was trying to more focus on like media ecology. So how digital media affects us as an ecosystem. More specifically, I was thinking about, I was doing more research about social issues. So, for example, like if we would have gave Twitter to the civil rights movement, would it have been more effective versus what it is now? And that question is definitely a hard maybe now that we had the January 6th insurrection. And the reason why I have something to compare that to is because we can look at the January 6th insurrection and compare that to the Holocaust. You have this person who's a profound speaker who actually has a mass following. And how did he get to this mass following? How did he have these people create such a big groupthink that they got themselves in a situation where they storm a capital and basically attempt a coup? And now you have Hitler, who did the same thing with the Holocaust. People who were considered neighbors and friends with their Jewish counterparts, and they turn around not even a month later, and then basically they're trying to send these people on trains to the chambers and stuff like that. And that's a profound thing, and it's a impactful thing when you think about what was the media used to be able to translate those messages, such as making newspaper articles of making fun of Jewish people and using radio as a big tool to be able to get your information out there. So now to twist that though, one thing that the police officers do have versus the people who are considered victims of police officers is, for sure, they usually get to hold the footage and look over evidence for 3 days before they can even release it out to the people who are the victims, which is kind of an unfair thing. You mean, obviously, you're starting off your fight 3 days behind a person who's been running, you know what I mean, already. And then also on top of that, they're supposed to be reporting their mass deaths, and it's not even a law that's actually like enforced. So think about this law as enforced as it is. In Michigan, it's illegal for you to have your dog off a leash.
Right.
It's illegal to walk your dog without a leash. It's about as enforced as that. You know that a lot of people are walking their dogs without leashes. So it's about as enforced
It's like a jaywalking. It's not enforced. You can jaywalk all you want, and then they'll be like, hey, don't do that, and then they'll just walk away.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's a whole thing.
But I honestly think that police officers should be their camera should be set to like live stream, man. Like you can go to a website, you can look up the officers in your town and see what's going on with them all the time, 24/7. As long as they're on shift, they have the camera on, you could access that live feed. None of this bullshit of like, oh, we're just gonna record it and then boom. And there should be features on there that if you see a cop about to do something, they cover up their camera or turn it off for some reason, you can report them right away. That way, there's some physical evidence, a time like a timestamp, going like this just happened on this guy's camera. What the fuck?
Yeah, I definitely.
Are you familiar with? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh no! I don't think that. No, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Are you familiar with the story of Feed in Santana?
No.
You may have seen the video he released. Back in 2015, he filmed a police officer who had murdered a man who had his back turned to him and then planted a taser on him and said that he attacked him. And the police officer would have gotten away with it if Feed in Santana hadn't recorded it and immediately posted it to YouTube. But because he did that, the police were constantly stalking him. They openly threatened his little sister's life. And because of him, the police officer in question was sentenced to 20 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to that, they were one of the first cities to enforce body cams because of Feed in Santana. But he still struggles to this day. He's a very open and loud activist about police transparency and revoking qualified immunity. And if you find yourself with the time, I highly recommend you look into his work.
Okay.
I'll check that out. Yeah, but going off of that too, is like you can make the website and stuff where you go and check things out anonymous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to sign in or anything like that. The feed's there. That way anybody who reports anything is anonymous, and you don't got to worry about those police officers like they do with him, where they actively go and threaten and put this pressure on people to stay quiet, right? Because I have a lot of family members that are in the force, and every time I post something about police brutality, I have those family members that be like, "Oh, you have family," and things. I was like, I know, I understand that,
mm-hmm.
but. There's a shit ton of evidence showing police in all these countries all these states that do shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I have a couple family members that are in the force doesn't stop all these other people from doing that shit.
Gotcha.
I was like, I'm not going to stay quiet just because I have family that's there, right? And then I love my family and everything, and I pray and hope that they are the straight-laced things. But I don't know what they do when they're in the uniform, right? Because that's that whole blue fucking wall bullshit that it's like, I was like, they could be protecting. Maybe they don't do it, but they see somebody that does it and they stay quiet for it, right? That's just as bad. And it's like, we have to put everybody who has that uniform on blast, regardless on who they are, because that's a job that they chose to do. Yes. And they know that job is dangerous. So there's no reason to be, taking sides on that shit. That's a job,
mm-hmm.
right? And, that has to be open to everybody since it's a public job.
Yes.
And, they need to be accountable for the shit that they do, regardless on who it is.
Fair enough. I'm going to read this comment real fast, and then we're going to jump into our movie. JT made a comment and a statement. He said cops should have body cams on every shift. Each interaction should be emailed to the citizens after it happens. I would raise you this. I would think that it should be emailed straight to the person who actually been the interaction happened to, or the actual next of kin, as a receipt of the actual interaction. So, for example, if you got pulled over. As soon as you got pulled over, that camera is actually recorded on there. Not only the body cam footage as well as the dash cam footage is actually sent to you as an email, and it should be part of it. As soon as you sign your ticket, hey, what's your email to be able to actually send that the footage of our interaction in, and it should be a thing versus that. But I mean, I definitely don't disagree at all with what Jose said as well as JT said. Now, with that, most important thing we got to talk about right now. We came here for this part right here, and there's a specific reason why you guys got to be the superheroes for this actual segment right here, which is we're gonna talk about a movie that just came out, which is Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. Me and JT and Jamel already kind of said our points, so I'm going to try to limit my opinion as much as possible. At the very end of the as we do our breakdown, we actually do a rating system, and I will be able to explain to that rating system a little bit later. But with that, we start off this movie for Black Panther and for Wakanda Forever. Shuri is trying to hurry up and make Ik Telokan. Is that correct? Kokokan or something like that. I don't know, man. Shit. It's Tolokan, something like that. I've been trying to practice and learn it, man. So it's okay. It got me excited to fucking learn it. But Shuri is making a synthetic actual heart-shaped herb to save T'Challa. T'Challa is supposed to have a deadly disease, and they're trying their best to actually save them. Ultimately, it leads to the demise of actually T'Challa. So I'm going to only talk about this point right here. And then the rest, I'm gonna let y'all take lead on it. When we look at that actual that scene, as a person who has lost many family members, I definitely felt like that was a point in the movie where that needed to be seen, no matter what. Usually you always see the demise of the person, and there's this like poetic way of kind of like holding the hand of the person as they go. But you never really get to see a person, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I keep this person alive, and then that person still dies while I'm doing the thing that I can, or not enough time. Now, arguably, you can talk about John Q and stuff like that, but not in this capacity. So what was your mindset when you first walked into this movie and that's the beginning scene? Let's go with Jose, because he hasn't talked for a bit. So I'm gonna go with my man Jose. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So go ahead, man.
All right. So, I thought it was a pretty powerful start to the film.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, felt some type of way about Chadwick Boseman. Whether they experienced him as T'Challa or any other films that he's been in. It was Marshall. What was his name?
Thurgood Marshall.
Other film. Thurgood Marshall. Yeah.
And Jackie Robinson.
Yeah. Yep. So there's so many films that he's been in, but to see, honestly, this goes into the way that I feel about more being of Latin descent, right? Like you just have this stronger connection that people who might not see themselves in a character might not understand necessarily. So you see this huge connection that he had with people as Black Panther, and I do think it was a great tribute. I was wondering how they were going to do it. I was wondering, like, how are they going to connect real life death to, to the death of T'Challa? And I think it was a good way to do it. I think it in media. Otherwise, I don't know if you have seen, it was a old sitcom called 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. I don't know if you ever seen that.
Yeah.
So it was Jim Belushi had died in real life, and I think I was about like 10 years old when I saw that, and he died in real life. But then in the show they had a whole funeral for him, and it's just honestly it's powerful to do that type of tribute in the fictitious sense for a real life person. So I think it was great. Especially even, we'll get to it, I'm sure, but the end too, the tribute at the end just got me in my heart. That was like, it was powerful. So I think the whole tribute, really the whole film was a tribute to Chadwick Boseman's life, and I think they did a great job on it.
So my Tammy, Now we get led up to a scene right after that. We get the actual opening credit scene where they show the Marvel symbol and it has a logo for Chadwick Boseman, and that's not discrediting that because just like how Rodriguez says, this whole thing is a tribute to Chadwick Boseman indirectly. And then we later on get led up to meeting the rest of Wakanda because of the fact that they do the funeral ceremony. And inside of the funeral ceremony, it was... I'm going to ask you, what was your personal interpretation? Because, like, when I watched that, I felt like, man, that was a fucking beautiful, amazing scene. Like, if I'm going to go, that's the way that I kind of want to see everybody go for me. You know?
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I'm not here to like plug my comic or anything, but I am working on a webtoon that is heavily centered around African traditional religion. And when I saw the funeral scene in Wakanda Forever, I got really excited because I recognized so much of that stuff from my research. And they managed to implement several different cultures and different African traditional religions into that ceremony. And like such as wearing white to a funeral. White is supposed to symbolize a closeness to the spirit world. And in Shuri's veil, you'll see a little heart-shaped clover little symbol, and that's actually called Naame. Sorry, I might mispronounce this. Actually, it's Naamedua, and it means God's protection. And it is an Adrinka symbol that is heavily celebrated in Ghanaian culture. And you'll see that the dances that they do, everything is a little piece of Africa brought to this celebration of life. Because, you know, as you'll find through some research, Africa doesn't see death the same way that Westerners do.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that also ties in with the fact that Wakanda in their canon was never colonized either by the Catholics or the Portuguese or Christian missionaries. And so their relationship with death and the way that they grieve is vastly different from what we might see had they had those experiences and had their culture stripped from them. And I think that it's beautiful because the film is focusing not on how he died, but on the people who are left behind in the wake of his death, and how his relationship with Shuri not only built her up to be who she is, but how his love for her influenced her decisions at the end of the film. And she didn't want to be diplomatic and noble like him, but she wanted to be wise. And that's what she chose to do.
Yeah. So, going into that, Jose, we later on see the actual drill that actually goes into finding vibranium. Apparently, they look all over the world for this this vibranium. Now, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna skip this scene, and the reason being is because of the fact that I feel like that's a cliche scene. Yes, we know we got this drill, and come to find out, the scientists are looking for vibranium. It's at the bottom of the ocean. Cool, fair, fine. And the most important about that scene was about the drill. And the drill was being built by a teenage girl who was named Riri Ironheart, and she went to MIT. A lot of this film felt like it was following after the footsteps of Tony Stark. And I'm going to ask you more of a comic book nerd question because of the fact of, like, I think you've listened to this podcast on this part, but also on top of that, I want to give you this question. And it's not saying that, like, Jose or Tammy doesn't, like, geek out.
You're good.
So
I do have to.
We're all geeks here.
Yeah, we are geeks here. So I'm skipping the part. Because of the fact that I feel like it's important about the drill, but it's also kind of important about the UN speech. And I want to go back to Tammy when it comes to you in speech.
Thank you. I have so much to say.
Gotcha. I really want to go back to that.
Uh,
So with that, a lot of these films felt like it's been plagued by Captain America and Iron Man. And I feel like this movie suffered because of this. Black Panther did a great job because of the fact that it kind of erased the idea that Civil War happened. Like, we know that Civil War was a thing. Obviously, the dad died, right? But Chadwick Boseman, I guess T'Challa did not talk about the war between these two entities, which is Iron Man and Captain America. That was not mentioned in that. Like, Iron Man's situation was Iron Man's situation. And so now with this one, we have Riri Ironheart that's essentially doing everything that Iron Man did without having to have met Tony Stark. Do you feel like, for me, it felt like it was a problem because of the fact of we don't have this girl having her own Black identity. And like, I get it, in the comic books, she looked up to him. She was an intern for him. But this is a moment where he died, right? And if we're going to change a lot of things, then why was this part not changed about it? We had her with a suit. She made it out of scraps the same way that Tony Stark made it when he was in Iron Man suit. She had to run away with the actual suit the same way Tony Stark had to with the actual 10 rings. She even couldn't breathe in thin air like Tony Stark could with his first suit. So do you feel like that hurt the actual storyline, or did you feel like that actually contributed or just didn't matter? So that's my question for you.
In that case, yeah, like, I liked Riri. I always enjoyed that character. But yeah, I mean, you can't say that Riri has taken so much inspiration from Iron Man that that whole scene of the escape, everything she did was a nod to Iron Man and Tony Stark. You know what I'm saying? To me, it didn't take away anything. It just added a little, like, oh, like the whole time I watched that scene, I was like, oh shit, that's what Iron Man, that's what Tony did. Oh shit, that Tony did the exact same thing. You know, I was excited to see that. One, Iron Man is one of my favorite superheroes in the Marvel universe, right? So for me to see that displayed through Riri, it had me giddy, man. Like, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. I was like, I can't wait to see the full suit. Like, I was so excited to see that. And just the way she made the suit and everything, all the little nods to him, you know, the heart that's displayed on the Mark One, like the whole going up and not being able to breathe thing. I was like, all that shit was just like in my mind a nice nod to Tony. Yeah, I know that that it's somewhat played out, but you know, Tony Stark, Iron Man is a big part of the creation of the MCU, right? And as we know, he did die. So they're trying to instill this new hope to the new generation that's going to grow up with these next couple of arcs of MCU films.
Fair.
And that was a great way for any little girl you know any little girl of color, especially the Black girls, seeing that. I feel like they were going through the same thing I did when I first saw the first Iron Man movie. Like, just seeing him go through all that and do all that was one of the main reasons I enjoyed watching all the Iron Mans, and I could still rewatch them and enjoy them. And this, I feel, will be the staple for those little girls going on into the future with these next iterations of movies that are coming out with her as the main Iron Man. They're going to be all like, oh, she was awesome in Wakanda Forever. Now she's going to have her own TV series. Now, then she might get in future movies. And I feel like all those little aspects of that nod to Tony are going to add to the next generation of kids who are watching these. Even little boys, man, little boys watching that are going to be all like, that's fucking cool, right? And it's like, I don't think it took away anything. I think it added a little something that, honestly, I'm going to say this right now. the Riri as a character didn't necessarily need to be in the movie. Let me rephrase that. Her absence from the movie wouldn't have diminished from the story, but I love that they added her to it because it gives us something